Ubuntumate is one Ubuntu-based Linux distribution that I have totally forgotten. I have been using Ubuntu Budgie, Ubuntu DDE, that I have forgotten about this awesome and simple to use Linux distribution or Linux distro. If you're new to Ubuntu or wanted to try out Linux, then Ubuntumate might be the ideal distribution for you. Along with Linux Mint, I would suggest you new users try it out for you to be able to experience Ubuntumate. So Ubuntu Mate is a stable, easy to use operating system. It is ideal for those of you who wants the most out of their computers and prefer a traditional desktop looks. It's not hardware intensive in the first place when it comes to requirements, making it useful even for old computers, while making modern computers even faster. So if you have an old hardware and you still wanted to be able to use that particular old hardware, then try to install Ubuntu Mate on it. On the other hand, if you have a faster computer or a fast computer, a modern computer, and you wanted to maximize its capabilities, then try out also Ubuntu Mate. So since Ubuntu Mate is quite popular Linux distribution, since Ubuntu basically is quite a popular Linux distribution, Ubuntu is very much available in different flavors. So just to name a few, again, we have Budgie, DDE, XFCE. Of course, we have Mate. That's what we're currently looking at right now. Each coming with its own desktop environment. So Ubuntu Mate takes the Ubuntu base OS and uses the Mate desktop. So it's a combination of Ubuntu, which is its base OS, and at the same time also the Mate desktop. The Mate desktop is a desktop environment that includes a file manager, text editor, archive manager. All of those applications can actually be seen under, we have here preference. So we have here file manager, archive manager, and so on, which can be customized via its control center. Okay, it can be customized and managed via its control center. Now, its desktop provides an intuitive and attractive desktop environment, which means if you've used Microsoft Windows or Mac OS, it would be very familiar. Its feel would be very much familiar. So there's no need for us to adjust if we're going to use Ubuntu Mate coming from this more popular operating systems. The Mate desktop is basically a continuation of the GNOME 2 desktop environment, which is currently the default desktop environment of many Linux and Unix OS for over 10 years now. So that's how stable GNOME 2 is. So I guess this basically means that the Mate desktop is tried, tested, very much reliable, and quite mature as a technology. Now, I've already installed Ubuntu Mate on my virtual machine, so I don't need to show you a run through of the installation process. So let's just try to see what's under the hood of Ubuntu Mate. So we have here menu. Okay, let's try to do some little bit of some customization, a little bit of customization. So this is its welcome screen. So we have here open welcome when I log on. So if it has a checkbox, then this welcome menu will appear. Otherwise, it will just be it won't load during boot up. So let's just try to click close. Then let's first try to change the wallpaper. So again, if you're familiar with Windows, what you can basically do is you can just right click here on the desktop. Then you can select change desktop background. So let's try to change the desktop background. Okay, so these are all the different pre-installed wallpapers. So let's try to look for a good wallpaper. Maybe this one. Okay, so as you've noticed, already changed the wallpaper. Okay, maybe this one. Okay, this one is much better. Okay, then theme. So these are all the different themes. So let's say we want to make it ambient mate dark. Okay, so this is it. Ambient mate dark. Then fonts, you can also change the font as well as its interface. Okay, let's just try to click close. So this is now the looks of my desktop. So I'm going to click menu, let's try to look at the different applications that comes along with the installation of Ubuntu Mate. So for all, these are all the different applications. For accessories, these are all also its different accessories. Now notice, by the way, that we have here Plank. So basically, Plank is a dock uh, that comes pre-installed with Ubuntu Mate. The other dock, by the way, that usually comes with Linux is Latte dock, but this one uses Plank. Okay, we'll try to enable it shortly. So for administration, these are all the different administrations. Okay, let's try to select login window. Okay, try to specify our password. Okay, so you can actually customize your login window. So appearance, user, settings, but I won't be touching this one. You can just try to play with it for you to see. Okay, administration, printers, where is it? Okay, we have printer, software updates, and so on. Okay, for education, no applications installed. You have also here graphics, internet. For internet, we only have two. We have Firefox for our web browser and transmission. Now, transmission is an application that enables us to download and share files over BitTorrent. Okay, now for Office, this is actually quite useful if you're just a regular day-to-day user of day-to-day computer user. So basically, Linux Mate comes with, or Ubuntu Mate comes with LibreOffice. So it comes with LibreOffice. So once you install Ubuntu Mate, LibreOffice actually is installed along with the operating system. So it won't be that hard for us to look for other Office applications and install it separately, because everything is actually installed or comes installed with the operating system. Then we have here preferences, about me, additional, and so on. So we have here display if you wanted to change the resolution of your monitor. Okay, so this is the display. So as you notice, we have here 1440 by 900. Okay, try to close. Okay, go back to menu again, preference. We have here file management, keyboard shortcuts, language. Okay, so we have here Mate Tweak. Go to Mate Tweak. Now for Mate Tweak, under desktop, we can enable certain icons. So let's say, for example, computer, trash, network, mounted volumes. When you say mounted volumes, by the way, these are the different external drives that we want to plug in, or that we have plugged into our machine. So it will appear somewhere here. For panel, this is the different panel. So let's try to enable this time. Let's try to use Cupertino. Okay. We have to change the layout. Changing the layout will completely replace and reset the current configuration. Are you sure you want to replace this layout and potentially lose any customization you might have made? Just click OK. Okay. Then, okay. Okay, so we have here at the bottom already our Plank dock. Okay, for Windows, okay, so we have here performance with the behavior and so on. Okay, so I to click close. Okay, so no files, pictures. These are all the different folders found on our My Documents. Okay, so basically what we can do is we can just try to look for the applications here. It's also sorted by categories, as you've noticed. Okay. Okay, try to go back here. Okay, try to go back to make tweaks. Okay, so we have here panel. So this is Cupertino. Try to go back to familiar. To click OK again. So as you've noticed, it returned back to its default state. Okay. So set to look for contemporary. Okay, again. Okay, then enable dock. We can no longer enable dock. Just set to click close. It's okay. It's already okay. I'm very much satisfied with this one. So files, no files. Set to revert it back to its original state. Mate tweak. Okay, Windows panel. Okay, for contemporary, set to select familiar. Okay. Then let's just click close. Okay, so this is it. Um, Now, let's try to look at the terminal. So I'm going to right click here, then open terminal. Okay, so let's try to see if NeoFetch is installed. So NeoFetch is not found, so let's try to install sudo app install NeoFetch. So specify the password. Okay, so click yes. So try to wait for the installation process this time. Okay. Now, while waiting for the installation process, decide to still to look at other applications found. So we're done with the preferences, sound and video. So these are the different applications that will enable us to listen at the same time also view videos, system tools. We have your system monitor. Okay, let's try to select system monitor. Okay, CPU history, system processes, resources, file systems. Okay. System tools. Okay, so you have your Mate desktop. Okay, so this is its Mate desktop. Okay, so we have here this is actually Mate desktop. The terminal is Mate desktop. Okay, try to do something first. Sudo nano. Actually, totally. Okay, so try to look at under the hood, cd. To look at config. So already have NeoFetch blank. Okay, trolltech.conf. Okay, so these are all the different installed other R configurations. Tilde. Okay, so what else? Just try to install something, some applications. Terminal Tilix. Okay, let's try to install Tilix. Sudo app install Tilix. Yes. Okay, try to make our terminal. I would normally do this one. Okay, for terminal, we have here try to see if it's possible here. Okay, we have here profile preferences. Okay, style command, colors. For colors, decide to make this one transparent. Background, set transparent background. Okay. Then try to click close. Okay, so we made our terminal transparent. Then try to use Tilix. Okay, so this is Tilix already. Then add another window here. Okay. Go back here again. Profile preference, colors, that's background. Okay. So that's how you would make it a little transparent using Ubuntu, the Mate terminal. Okay, let's go back here again. You fetch, yeah, it's Mate terminal. Okay. Now, that's how you would normally try to customize your a little bit of customization when it comes to your Ubuntu main. So what I basically did was just try to customize the wallpaper, a little bit of the looks. I didn't install any other application except maybe for Tilix and also at the same time NeoFetch. But other than that, everything is just everything comes right out of the box. Okay, so what's my take on this one? So Ubuntu Mate is a very pretty stable and rock solid distribution that has gotten most things right. So if you're new to Linux, as what I've said earlier, uh, everything is quite right with Ubuntu Mate. There's nothing unlikable about this distro. Even in my case, although I have been using Linux for less than a year, started around October or November last year, I actually find Ubuntu Mate quite likable so as a distribution. The software included are very much standard. So everything has a standard uh, software in it. Okay, so there's no need for me to do add-on. So basically, out of the box, as what I've said, I can already use Ubuntu Mate. The overall experience has been good. Having already tested Ubuntu Mate, I can say that Ubuntu Mate feels a lot faster and quicker in terms of GUI response, which is actually quite true, along with a Linux Mint. So those two distribution are quite responsive in terms of its graphical user interface. Not too much animation that it becomes a little bit too unresponsive or a little bit too heavy. Everything is just right. So who can basically use this technology? Ubuntu Mate is a distribution or variation designed for beginners. So if you're new to Linux, average users or even advanced users, it is quite it can become quite dependable and capable for both modern and old computers. Okay, so if you're new to Linux, I would suggest that you try it out along with Linux Mint. Okay, so at least you can select either Linux Mint or Ubuntu Mate since its looks and feels is very much like those of Windows as well as Mac OS. The look and the feel can be very much similar to those two very popular operating systems. So just try it out on your machine. So if you're not that comfortable in directly installing it, then just try to install it first on a virtual environment or virtual machine until such time that you're already familiar with Mate. So I'll be adding the download link at the bottom so that you can actually download the ISO file and test it out for yourself.